Well, hello, everybody. Let's get this started. I'll turn it right over to Mary Lynn right away. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon and happy St. Patrick's Day. It's March 17th, so I wore a green sweater in honor of St. Patrick. So best of luck to everybody, and hopefully you'll enjoy our class. So today we're going to use the Hunkydory Birdsong Collection, which is a great collection. You're going to be able to make lots of cards. And we're going to make one of the birdhouses. We're going to make a Zed Fold card, and then we're going to step it up a little bit and make a interlocking gatefold card. So hopefully everybody has the instructions, and we're going to get started. So I'm going to start by going through the kit with you just so you make sure you have everything. And then we're going to get started with the birdhouse card. So I'm just going to flip my cameras a minute, and then we'll go through that. All right, so I thought I would show you first the card samples we're going to make. So this is the birdhouse card. It's great. You get in your kit, you get 8 different birdhouses you can make. Well, I guess 2 of 4 different birdhouses. And I chose to make the blue one as a sample, and I used the Happy Easter sentiment here. It's very cute because you can open up the little door and then you create the inside of the card. So we're going to make this one first, and you can see how cute that is. You also get the envelope for these cards, so that's going to work great. Then we're going to do this Zed Fold card, just using some paper so you can see how nicely it opens, and it's not bright and colorful. So this is another example that you can use with any Hunkydory package, actually. So if you have some at home that you haven't really played with too much, then this is an idea for you to use for that as well. And then we're going to make this interlocking gatefold card. I'm just going to get my cord out of the way there. So this, you can see how it opens and it interlocks. So that we're going to make last. It's not very difficult, and you get everything with it in the kit except a piece of white paper. So we're just going to use that. So that's the third card we're going to make today. In your kit, you're going to get a pad of paper called Picture Perfect. This is an 8x8 size paper, and you get 48 sheets in total, 12 different page layouts, and you get 4 of each. So in this, you get, if you've looked through it or just flipped through it, you can see it's double-sided paper. You get different toppers or scenes that you can cut out, and then you get the background paper. And we're going to use some of this to fill in our gatefold card. And then this is really pretty too, the lovely pink daisies, and then there's yellow daisies. And then at the back, you'll notice that there are sentiments as well. So you've got lots of sentiments that you're going to be able to use for a variety of events, which is great. It's always so nice to have those sentiments, including retirement, which isn't always that popular. So, and you get lovely the background paper too. So that's the paper pad. So you've got lots of opportunities there. These are the envelopes that go with the birdhouses. And then you're going to have this luxury topper collection. And this is the front sheet. And just to point out, so this is actually one of the cards we're going to make. And then this is the other card that we're going to make. So I thought, well, it's helpful. I mean, sometimes you see these designs and you don't really know how to use them or how to, they just sort of give you ideas. But once we go through today, then you'll be able to sort of look at some of the designs and say, oh, I could do that, or I could make something similar, right? And then on the back, if you flip over, they also have a few more examples up top here. And then they give you some other items in the collection. And this is a Picture Perfect pad, which we just went through. So usually Hunkydory has all of those things in each of their packages. And so then just to flip through some of these, you've got your cardstock, and you've got a couple sheets of each. Then you've got your toppers that you can just press out, and you get your sentiments, and you get some border embellishments, you get sentiments that you can add to your designs. So you can see I've pressed a few out. And then and this is more of the sheets of paper. So I chose a couple of the designs that we'll go through, but they are beautiful. And once you, as I say, kind of get some ideas of how to use the papers, because often like in this one here, you've got designs on both sides and then opening in the middle. So how you might use it. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm just going to go now to the birdhouses here that I have. So there are 4 colors of birdhouses. There's pink, and you can see here it says Beautiful Birdhouse 1. And then they all have their numbers here, which is helpful because as we're going to decorate the birdhouses, I just have to find my sheet of embellishments. You get 2 sheets of embellishments as well. And you'll notice here that along with the different embellishments are little circles with numbers. So basically what they're saying is all of the number 1s, which are in a background of pink, then you can use those, or those are made to coordinate with birdhouse number 1. And then here, if you see here, it's number 2 with yellow. So they will coordinate with the yellow birdhouse. And then you've got the blue down below and you've got the green over here. So that's how you can pick out your embellishments for the different birdhouses. And then what I also wanted to point out was that this is the back of the sheet. So although this doesn't have the numbers, so you might say, oh, mine doesn't have numbers, but that's probably the back of the sheet. Then what's nice is that even when you put this or on your birdhouse, I'm going to show you the back of my example, you can actually see the flowers and the designs on the back, which is very nice, right? So it just completes the card, as is the back of the birdhouse. And then you'll notice here there is a little flyer or flag that says handmade for you, which I thought, well, that's a really nice little touch so that people know that you handmade this. All right, so those are the features I wanted to point out before we begin. So really what you need to do, oh no, one more thing. So these are the sort of examples, and it gives you some tips here, and you can see how they design them here in the bottom. So it gives you ideas of how you might want to place your embellishments. And I think that's it. So choose a color of birdhouse. It really doesn't matter. You also get the background sheets. Now there's 2 sheets of the same, but you can see some have like yellow flowers, pink flowers. One has a teapot here and the eggs. So you can choose which one you want. Now these are the inserts to go inside the birdhouse as a background. The birdhouse itself already has a pattern paper that looks like clouds, but then you can add that insert before you add any embellishments to your card. So choose which birdhouse color you want to make. I think I made a blue one here. I think I'm going to choose a different color. And my thought was I was going to use a pink one. So I'm going to use the pink birdhouse. And what you need to do is just press out the birdhouse. That's the first step. And then you can see there is a score line here, and I'm just going to score that. And you can use a bone folder if you want to burnish the score line or not. And then I'm going to press this out, which is to my sweetheart, which is very cute, so that I can then make it this, figure out how I want to use that. Because I also could say you're so special. This is probably, I'm going to put on the inside of my card. And then you can see, you can press out the other parts of the birdhouse. I'm going to, so this is the roof. And then you'll notice that there are little dots or little round circles that you can also press out. So if you want to do that, then we can, I think if we press out, so that, and then you want to press out this piece as well. This is the bottom piece here that we're going to add to the base of the birdhouse. And then you can see here in the right corner, you've got handmade with love and you've got anniversary wishes. Oh, you can't see that on my camera. So yeah, so press out this piece here as well. And then maybe you want to press out the handmade because I think that's necessary to go on the back of your card. And then we're going to also press out, this is the little birdhouse door, which is so cute. So press that out. And then if you wanted to use some of the sentiments or little flags, you could press that out. And then, so you've got all your pieces. I'm just going to move my cards that I have sitting here. So I have my pieces here, and then I'm going to choose one of the backgrounds. And because I'm choosing the pink, I'm going to choose the pink daisy design. And then I'm going to move everything out of the way for a minute. Oh, I need my embellishments. So maybe what you want to do as well is you want to press out the embellishments so that you have everything ready to go to put your card together, because we're just going to use foam top to add the designs. So press out, I'm going to go with number 1 and all the little pink birdhouse embellishments. So I'm going to press them all out. And then I kind of know how I might want to add them to my birdhouse. And you need to press, this is, you can notice all of their embellishments have a little bit of foiling on them. And this isn't the shiny cardstock, this is the matte-tastic cardstock in their collection. And each birdhouse has a little bow as well that goes along with the collection. Pressing the little bow out and then the flowers. All right, and I just have one more little piece. I think I've got them all. All right, I'm going to move everything out of my way here. And then with your package, you also received a variety of the Hunkydory foam tabs. So you've got small little squares. You've got, these are strips, foam strips. You can't really see that, but they're full length foam strips are quite wide. Oh no, sorry. They are longer foam tabs. Then you've got a different size square, a little bit larger square. And then you have, oh, these are larger squares still. So you've got quite a selection. And you can always, if you have the larger ones left over, because you use smaller ones, then you can always cut them with your scissors and then use them, make them smaller, or make them into strips as well, if you prefer. All right, so let me see my little birdhouse here. So once you have everything, I made the birdhouse. Must have gotten caught up in my, oh, here we go. So once you have everything cut out, then we just really have to put things together. And so you can, as I said, press out the little holes in the sort of upper part of the roof of the birdhouse. And then what's so nice about the Hunkydory kits is that you just have to press things out, which is very nice. Now you might notice that some of where you press it out, where it was attached to the paper, has a little piece of paper there. So some people like to just trim those off so that you don't actually see that. So if you want to do that, you can do that. It's not too many you have to do. I find on the toppers that we're going to use later, that actually helps quite a bit, because that's usually a foil on the edge, and then you see the little white piece of paper. So the birdhouse looks pretty good on my end here, but I just did it for some samples I was making for another project, and I did like the look a little bit better. So that's up to you, whatever you prefer. All right, so you kind of have to think about what you want to do for your design. The first, I seem to be losing all my pieces. There was a little, I wanted to put a bird, kind of like my original one. I wanted to put the bird on the inside. So what you should do though first is add the background. So you can see how it's shaped nicely to fit within the birdhouse. So you can use glue or double-sided tape, whatever you have available, to add that to the inside of your design. Glue is definitely faster. But this will help slow me down. All right. And then peel back your protective layer if you're doing the double-sided tape, and then add to your design. Now, I have to find my other little piece. You might want to keep your instructions or the front of the card kit so you can get an idea of how you might want to put your elements on your birdhouse. So you might not keep that out. And I just have to find my little, oh, I don't think it's under here. Little birds, because I should add those first before I cover it, so then I can make sure that it's centered correctly. Well, I'm going to choose this one. All right. So, oh, I guess I didn't press it right. All right. So you can see how this is going to fit exactly in there, which makes it very simple. So what I like to do is add it through the hole so I can adjust it now. And it's easier before I add the little door cover. So I'm just going to use, again, just a little bit of double-sided tape for this. So I'm going to close my birdhouse and then just place it. Again, I often like to keep my fingers out of it, and then I can adjust it better with my tweezers. So just so I can get it in the right spot and then press it down. All right. So now, if you have your little door, you can see that the wood grain design in the paper matches, right? So you don't want it offset. It helps you line up the door to make sure it's straight. And as long as you're covering the hole, you should be good to go. So you want to do that. Now, how I added mine was I just put a little bit of foam tabs on behind this little area, and then I'm going to add it to my design. So I am going to take, I think, the smallest foam tabs, and it might actually, no, it's going to fit perfect. So I'm just going to put 2. I want it to be strong so that it doesn't fall off. And then again, with my tweezers, I'm just going to line it up over the door, make sure the lines are going to fit well. And then I have my little door, and it will actually have a little score line, I think, there to fold over. So there. So the next items we want to add to the birdhouse are the roof, which of course is going to go over the top, and the little perch or bottom part of the birdhouse, which is going to go up the bottom. So I'm going to use some foam tabs, similar to what I just used, the smaller ones. I guess I could. What's this? Yeah. You could, if you wanted, you could cut some of these strips. I cut it before you take it off, because then it's easier to cut. And I'm just going to take this off. So I could use just 2 strips, I guess, for this. And then if I have any excess, I can just fold it back and cut it off. Just a little bit here. And then that, you probably don't need that much foam. Even if you use the smaller tabs, that would be okay. But then we're going to just add that to the design here. And then I'm going to use the smaller ones for my the roof part. And again, you don't need too many. I would just put a few down each side. It's going to stick, but the other thing is you do want a few, only because you're going to add embellishments on top of it. So you don't want it to collapse where you're adding the embellishment. All right. I usually like to stand over, but since I'm sitting today, it's not. Okay. There, and now, since this is easy to add, I'm going to add my little handmade sentiment to the back. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. All right, so we've got that added to the back. All right, so basically the birdhouse is together. We've got the little door that's going to open. And now we can add the extra embellishments. So for my birdhouse, I have a few sets of flowers here. I have a couple birds. I have one that's flying, so we kind of have to decide how we want to use that one. And I think in the example, it hasn't. kind of here. Because I'm looking at it. The bow is simple because that can just go up the top here. So I'm going to add that. Just again, a small little foam tab. And again, just be careful because the bow is colored on both sides. One side has foil. Okay, so that would be your front piece. So that's this piece. So just before you add it, you want to make sure the foil is to the front. Okay, so I'm going to add my bow. Oh, I see. They have in my example here, they've used, I don't think I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to show you, because if you're working on another color, they've actually put one of the flags across here, anniversary wishes, which is really cute because it's also to my tweetheart, right? So you could put that here and then put anniversary wishes there. Or I think the blue one was Easter. And then the other one that comes with this particular design is You're So Special. So that's the other one you could use. You can see it here, whether you want to put that in the center or not. And then you'll notice that this embellishment actually has 2 layers. So the You're So Special doesn't. So you can add both. So you see how it can just ring, and then you could actually add this one with foam, which I think I'm going to do that. Just add it in the center with some foam tabs, so there's a little bit more dimension to the card. I'm just going to use some glue because circles are not simple to just add to or to use tape with. So just a little bit of glue. And I'm going to put this right here. And then I'm going to add this design. So I'm going to use a different size foam tab. I don't think I need that big. I think I'm just going to use a couple of these this size. Since I have a selection to choose from. And then I'm going to add to my tweetheart. All right. So now I have to decide on my flowers. Now these look similar. I think the idea is the flowers are sort of along the roof of the birdhouse, because I've got two for each. So make it very floral. Sometimes I like to lay it out and then decide how I want to add, because you have to just be careful that it doesn't cover the opening, right? When you eventually add it. And then I think in the example they had just the bird sitting here, it looks like. And this bird flying up here. And then the flowers, maybe the flowers are all down here, but you could do that. I think I'm gonna have the flowers sort of symmetric, and then have the bird on top of the flower here, so you can build dimension. Now I have a few other little, I think this is to go on the, covered the door. I think I could add it here or on the inside if I wanted. It looks like they're little door pieces you could add. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and add my flowers. So hopefully everybody's figuring out again how they're going to place their designs. And again, just before you add it, sometimes it's easier to add the foam because of I think I'm just going to do this, because then I know it's not going to go over one of the holes in the birdhouse roof. I'm just going to put the foam tabs on my design and then place my flowers on top. So sometimes if it's in a space where you're not sure and you want to make sure it adheres well, you don't really want it over one of the openings. And so I'm just going to do the same on this side. Now your envelopes are large enough to accommodate things on the outside of your birdhouse. So if you are going to send them in the mail, but I guess if you're going to give them as well, you do want to make sure that whenever you're adding embellishments, that it's going to still fit in your envelope. So you can see that you've got lots of, it's pretty good to go off the side. So this would still work, no problem. And the bird I'm going to put on top anyway, so it looks like everything's going to fit into my envelope. So you might want to just check that before you add things. I'm going to add this again to here, so I know exactly. I can just put my design on top of that. And again, just make sure you've got the foiled area to the outside. And this flowers, I did pick correctly, because if you notice, they're mirror opposites. So you can see the little yellow bits here are on the right-hand side on this one and on the left-hand side on that one. So if you are making a birdhouse that's different and you have similar elements, then just make sure you've got the correct one for the different sides. So I'm just going to add that here, and that's going to still fit into my envelope. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. I'm going to try and get it similar here. It's a little just off. Whoops. Now what I did, I didn't allow it. Okay, I'm going to have to turn it a little bit more, because I have to just make sure that the door opening is going to work. So I'll just have to turn it a little bit there. Okay. So we're good. I think it'll still close, no problem. Maybe a little bit up. All right. Now I'm going to add my bird. I think I'm just going to add the bird on top of this here. And you can see it's still going to fit inside the envelope. Again, I think I'm just going to add one little foam dot. All right. So it's going to, my opening is still possible with the bird there. And then I'm just going to add this one on top here. We can add it still onto the flowers. Oops. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. And I can let this one be a little bit higher if I wanted. All right. So there, my design. I'm not going to add these little pieces. I'm not really sure. I think you could add them here. I don't think you want to add them here. I'm not really sure. It looks like a little bit of a, like a keyhole. Anyway, so I think my birdhouse is done. So this is how the card would come. You can open it up to my Tweetheart. There's a lovely little bird on the inside. And then when you open the card, you can see a beautiful scene, and then you can write your message, and you know exactly what's going to be seen. from the opening here. So you can just make sure you write something around that. And then you would have a little bit of space to write something there if you wanted as well. And then the back, so at the back, you can see how it's nice that you see the flowers and the bird and the flowers and the bird here. And then you have handmade with love. So that was not very difficult. And you have a lovely card. And you're going to have a few embellishments left over for use with other designs. So I could have put this little banner across here if I wanted for anniversary wishes, but you don't have to. And you could use this on another design if you wanted. You've got a couple other little elements there that you could add to other projects, because don't forget, you've got that paper pad and you've got all the toppers. So these are really cute, fun to make, and very quickly you have a card and you've got different birdhouses for different occasions. So that works really well. There's some that say Happy Easter, and since Easter is a few weeks away, you've got some cards that you can give away for Easter as well. And I think the birdhouse is so cute because we are entering spring and the birds are returning. I know for certain I hear them singing outside, so that's really nice. So hopefully everybody had a chance to get through most of this card. If you haven't and you want to take your time to embellish it because you're not exactly sure how you want it to look, then you can always take your time and do that, but it isn't really difficult to make. So hopefully that's our first card done. So the next card, moving along, that I wanted to make, or I thought, we'll go from easiest to most challenging, but again, nothing's really hard. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, and we're going to do the Zed Fold card. So the Zed Fold card it's very simple when you have paper that's patterned, like the Hunkydory paper. So I used one of the pieces and I cut it to size, and we're going to go through all of that. And then I added an embellishment. So this one's doesn't take that long, but it's quite lovely for a different design. And I think that's what's kind of fun about the Hunkydory packages, is that you can do your fun folds, and it makes everything look really quite intricate. And once you do one of these designs, then you have the instructions for future, which is also very helpful. I had to make several samples for from Hunkydory packs, the wildflower pack that's coming up. And I could use all the same designs. I just had to find the paper that would work. So in this example, I think it does make sense if you try and choose the same papers that I've used, because there is some thought that goes into that, and I can explain that as we go through. So the piece of paper that I chose for this design, and you get two of them in your package. I've actually cut mine so that it's ready to go, because I tend to use a large guillotine and it just doesn't fit on my in my table here. So I did cut it, but I wanted to explain to you how I cut it. So again, this is the example. The idea is that the pattern of the paper, so the birds with the milk can and the pretty yellow daisies, is going to be in the bottom right corner. So your paper looks like this. Okay, I'm gonna move it up a little bit so that you can see the pattern. So I need to cut my paper. It's an A4 size paper, which is sort of the European, slightly narrower than 8.5 and slightly longer than 11.5. But I need to cut 7 inches wide, because we're going to make the Zed Fold, which the finished size is 5 by 7. and then I need it to be 10 inches lengthwise. And in order to have my design in the right-hand side, I just have to cut that appropriately. So I cut it. So just make sure when you're cutting your paper, it's 7 inches wide here and then 10 inches long. You're going to have a strip that you can use for something else, and you're going to have a yellow strip as well. So those are left over. I'm sure most crafters are like me, and you're never going to throw anything away because you can always make little tags of this. You can add this to the inside of the card, another card, because this one's all patterned paper. So you don't really have to decorate the inside. So if everyone wants to cut their paper so that they're going to have a piece that looks like this. So 7 inches this way, 10 inches this way, and then we're going to do the folding. So I'll give everyone a chance to do that. And then we'll do the scoring. I'm going to clean up my table. I'll give you a chance to do that. Now, if a scoring board is a useful tool in paper crafting. So if you don't have one, you might consider investing in one, but certainly it isn't necessary 100% of the time. So I'm going to show you a few things of how you can score without a scoreboard. So the easiest method I find without a scoreboard is a paper trimmer. So most people who are into paper crafting will have a paper trimmer. I tend to use a little guillotine and a large guillotine. I like those because my knife doesn't get dull on those, and then I don't rip my paper as I'm cutting. But this scoreboard is also very handy for scoring paper. So I've got a little piece of scrap paper here, and if I want to score something, say I wanted to score 4 inches in, so you can see, well, maybe you can't see, but this is 4 here. I have a 4, I covered it. I'm going to put my edge here at 4, and then the little area where the little knife goes through. Some score or paper cutters actually come with a little scorer, so you can use that, or you can use your stylus. So if you have a stylus, a little round ball on the end of a tool, like a stylus tool, you can get varying sizes. You can see there's a double ball that has 2 sides, but you need a narrower one that you can just run through this little ridge, and then that will score your paper. Okay. So now you can see, well, maybe you can't see. I've got a little bit of glare here. I'm going to just turn one of my lights off. Maybe that's better. No, not really. Anyway, I have a little line, you'll have to trust me, that I can just score or fold. So that's the easiest way to score something if you don't have one of the scoreboards. We do have at Ecstasy Crafts a couple scoreboards. There's a large one from Hunkydory, and then there is a smaller one from Nellie's Choice. I have an older model of a Joycraft scoreboard, but usually what they feature is they have a scoring tool here at the top that often will sit or be attached to your scoreboard so you don't lose it. It has measurements down each side. This one actually has inches and centimeters, so it's kind of nice. Centimeters here and inches here. So you might want to look for that. And then on the back, they often also have, let's see, might in some ink. They often will have things to make envelopes. So this one has some envelopes, and I know the Nellie's Choice one has also information about how to make envelopes, as does, I believe, the Hunkydory one. So you've got like a nice diagonal here if you need to make a diagonal score. And this one actually also has some designs that you can actually score into your paper as well. So if you're choosing to purchase one, you can look and see all of the features of the different scoreboards that are available. And then you can also use them, and you can see here for envelopes. And this particular scoreboard came with a punch to round the corners of your envelope. But I don't think our others have that, but you might just have a corner punch that can do the same thing. So that's kind of a scoreboard. And then again, if you haven't invested in a scoreboard, then just use your paper trimmer. You can use a ruler and your stylus as well. You just need to be on a little bit of a softer surface. This is a self-healing cutting mat, so it doesn't really lend itself to that. But if you had a little bit of a softer surface that would have a little bit of a give, like maybe several pieces of copy paper or maybe a newspaper, then you might be able, you can just use your ruler and a stylus and create a score line. At least it's something that allows you to make an indentation in the paper at the correct space where you want to fold it. Okay, so hopefully people have something that they can use to score. And what we're going to do, I'm going to get my little scoreboard out here. And the other thing, so you can see my scoreboard is fairly small. So if I have to score for a slimline card, I will use my paper trimmer because it has a longer space for me to do a continuous score. So if you have your piece of paper cut, what we want to do is we want to score at 5 inches. So I'm going to, because that's half our paper. So this is my 5. And then we're going to score at 2.5. Now I'm going to just move this. And then we're going to fold. So score at 5. I often will go over it more than once. And then I'm going to score at 2.5. Okay. So hopefully everyone's got that done. I'm just going to move my scoreboard. We're going to need it again for the gatefold card. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it. So we're going to fold this inside. Okay. And so you're going to burnish it. You can use, I do have a bone folder that I often use to create nice crisp folds. You can, if you don't, just press a little bit, or even if you have a scoring board, you can just use the back of the scoring tool. This is called Matastic, and it's great for scoring. Hunkydory is great for adorable scoreable cardstock, whether it's their Matastic cardstock or their other cardstock, their more glossy designs. And then this one, I'm going to fold back, and then we have our Zed Fold. Now, to get your best fold, usually fold, like instead of, I would have folded it this way. And then this one is the correct way. And you just get a nicer fold with a nice edge. All right, so we actually have our Zed Fold. And you can see how it works really well to have your design still on the outside. So now in the example, what we're going to do is we're going to press out one of the oval toppers that are available in your kit, and we're going to add them to the card. So if you want to find those in your selection here, I'm going to find mine. And then again, just press them out. Now I'm going to find the sheet so I can, there's a few things we want to press out. Okay. So here's my sheet. I think I did. All right. So we're going to press out and just gently press out, because this is your, oh, I see what I did. I used a different background. Now this actually has, so the inner piece, and it's got two pieces to the frame. You can see you have, which in the gatefold card, we're going to split up, but in this card, we're just going to keep it together. I actually used the other oval here with the birdhouses, because you see you can mix and match the frames. I didn't think I knew what I was doing, and then but it's not going to make any difference. So just keep these two layers together, or we'll just attach them together. That won't be a problem. And then we've got the birdhouse, and we wanted to separate those because it's hard for you to see in this example. Maybe from here, you can see that we just raised this a little bit, so you get some depth to the card. So you needed to press those out. And then the other item to press out is, I can't remember where all of these things came from. Oh, yes. Okay, so this sheet, oh, yes. So I've got the two things for this sheet. So on this sheet, you've got the little birds with the nest and the eggs. And we're going to press out this border, because we're going to use that to decorate our card. Oh, I've got all these interlocking here. So we're just going to use a little piece of that here, and then here as well. Okay, so that's, I just decorated the card a little bit there. And then you can see here, we have a little bit of gold trim here and at the bottom here, just to make it symmetric. And so what you're going to do is when you press out, now the borders, when you press them out, they're attached at each edge. So you're just going to have to take your scissors to cut it out. And I use congratulations on the inside of the card, you can see here, but it's up to you whether you wish to put any sentiment on today's card, because you can keep it and then add a sentiment once you know who you want to give it to and what occasion you're going to be using it for. Because that's the nice thing about these cards, is that they lend themselves to many, many occasions. So if you make some cards ahead of time, then you don't have to worry about it. You'll have one ready to go. You just add the sentiment. Okay. So I'm just going to trim this out here and trim it out here. And I mean, you could just trim out a little piece. This will be 2.5 inches to one here. And you could do 2.5 if you wanted to just cut 5 and then leave the rest so it's attached to your paper. You could do that. I'm just going to cut mine out today. All right, and then it was this piece that I used, which was the gold. So this is just sort of an extra piece, but I thought we can use that too. So try to leave it attached to your other designs, and I'm just going to, again, it's attached at the edge here. Yeah, that should work, because we only need 2.5 inches for each piece. So nothing goes to waste here. All right, so I've got my pieces. Your sentiment if you want. There's birthday wishes to my tweet heart here too. Congratulations, a special delivery just for you. And what else do we have? The friends are the family you choose. So those are all very nice. All right. So we have our daisy border piece. We have our little gold strips, and we have our frame and insert. So this one I think is a little longer. I know, the same. All right. So I think what's easiest to probably do, just to get things centered, is to add the little piece, the little gold piece at the top. So you can see I just have a little strip. So I'm just going to add that like that so I can cut it. I think I might, if you can use your paper trimmer if you like, I'm going to make sure the one edge is there. I turned it over and I'm just going to make a little pencil line here, and then I'm going to cut it with my scissors. All right. And then I'm just going to use a little piece of tape and I'm going to add that to my card. It always amazes me how quickly you get a mess when you're crafting. But all right. If you don't have a narrow piece of double-sided tape, then you can, of course, always use glue. Gives you a little more wiggle room to get it in the exact position. But our 3mm Be Creative tape works great for these little thin area and little thin embellishments. That's why I always like this. I like to have 3, 5, and 9mm size to choose from in my stash. All right, so we're just adding that. And then we're going to do exactly the same to the bottom. I'm just going to trim these little areas off. Again, I'm just going to, I could measure with my paper trimmer, but I'm just going to cut it. And again, add it with some double-sided tape. Having these in place will help you align the other parts that we're going to add to the card. All right, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is add the frame. So we have the frame, and I'm just going to space. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to just add some, I'm going to use double-sided tape just for this half of the card. And I'm just going to apply it to the back of my frame. Okay. So just add some double-sided tape to the one half. Now make sure you're adding it to the half that you want. So I'm just going to add it to this half here. And because there's a double part to the double-sided tape also over that, so that it doesn't come apart. And then just probably half. All right, so I have my double-sided tape on half of that. So I have so much glare. Right. I'm going to take off my protective layer. And then I'm going to add it to my card. So I'm going to go fairly close to the top. And then I'm just going to press down. Yeah, perfect. All right. And so then the next step is we're going to add the inner piece, the same milk can that was on the bottom lower left, to the inside of the frame, but we're going to use our foam tabs to raise this area. And so what I want to do, because I only want half of it again, is I'm going to put the foam tab on the card, because then that's milk can design where that's going to be. So I'm just going to add a few foam tabs into the card here. I'm going to add one kind of at the top. Oops. just to make sure that it doesn't bend. All right, peel off the layers. And then I'm just going to inlay this design into the frame. All right, so that's basically that's almost a Zed card done. We're just going to add a little bit more of our embellishments. And then what you'll notice is because we have the frame that's only on half of the card, it would cover any sentiment. So you have lots of space inside here to add a sentiment so that when the recipient receives the card, it's not showing, right? Like in my example here, I have, because I added congratulations, you've got the space to add the congratulations, and it's covered when the card is closed. What you have to do is you can add the sentiment if you know what you want this card for. Is we're going to add these little daisy strips, and you can choose to do that or not if you like. So I just need to. This is going to be 2.5, so I'm going to do my little pencil trick here. And then this one, you can see in the example, I did just cut a little bit in here just to make it like a little flag, but you don't have to do that. It's whatever you like. You can just use scissors. I happen to use a little die that fit perfect, but I think it's nice just to not have to use your die cutting machine for all your designs or things. I just happen to have that. So you can just cut sort of into the center if you wanted. And then the other thing I did add was a few little stick-on jewels. So these were just some little gold gems I had just to add a little bling to the design. So you can see if you have something in your stash that you want to use to finish off the card. But basically, really what we wanted to do today was to use the Hunkydory package and try our hand at some fancy fold cards. I thought I measured this already. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this. Decide how long you want your little border in this upper corner to be. Put my pencil away, and I'm just going to cut this. And then I'm just going to add a little cut. You never want to overcut, but the pattern's pretty forgiving. You won't see it. All right. I'm just going to add these two pieces to my card using double-sided tape. And of course, you can use glue. Tape runner. And then this last piece. So these were just the embellishments that I thought worked well. but again, you've got lots to choose from in your package. So again, whatever you want to use to decorate your card. So you can add a few decorative gems if that's what you'd like. Otherwise, that's basically our gatefold card, or not gatefold, sorry, our Zed Fold card completed. And then you can't really see this, but when it sits on the desk, or on somebody's table or wherever they're going to put display their cards, it'll display very nicely. And you can see that yourself on the card that you just made. So hopefully everybody's doing well and getting their Zed Fold card completed. And then we can move on to the gatefold card. So this card used everything from the Hunkydory package that you received, the cardstock and then the topper. So it was all self-contained, but you can actually make your package go even further if you add a little bit of your own cardstock, like to serve as a background card, then you can make things go even further. So this is the next card we're going to move on to. I'm just going to move those out of the way. And this is the Interlocking Gatefold, which I thought, well, that's kind of fun. And so what we needed to add, in addition to the Hunkydory package that you received for the kit for this week and next week, is a piece of white cardstock. So I added all of the pattern papers onto white cardstock. So we're going to make a white gatefold card in a second, but I just wanted to point a few things out. So you can see how it all just matches right across. And then I chose, because of this paper I chose this topper, which also has the very pretty sunflower daisies, yellow daisies, brown-eyed Susans, flowers, so that it all matches. And then you've got the daisy there in the center. And then you've got a couple little elements that you can add to decorate your card. So this one is the just for you, and this is sending well wishes. And then again, I added a few little gems in each corner. And then we're filling in the inside of the card from the paper pad. So, but you can see how it matches exactly the outside. So the outside is a cardstock, and then the inside is from the paper pad. So what I'll get you to do is, why don't we make the gatefold white card first, and then we'll pick out the embellishments that I use for this particular design. So this is a 5.5 by 5.5 inch square. So you need to cut a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 11. So basically you cut an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of cardstock, you just cut it 5.5 inches wide. So if you want to go ahead and do that, then we'll score it so we can make the gatefold card, and then we'll add our embellishments from the Hunkydory kit today. So I'll give you a few minutes so that you can cut your card. So again, cut a 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper lengthwise at 5.5 inches. And then we're going to score it to make the gatefold. All right, so I'm hoping everybody had their sort of trimmer handy. It doesn't hopefully take too long. I'll give you a few more minutes and then we'll pick out our pieces of paper. So to make the gatefold, there's different types of gatefold. So if you joined us for our one of our Embellishments collection classes, the very first class we did, we made a gatefold that overlapped. Okay, so we had, when we closed the card, we had the gatefold actually overlap. This month we want to be to meet in the middle because we have this interlocking sort of mechanism to close. So we have the one part of the design on one side and we have the other part on the other side, and then it closes to make a pretty gatefold. So this time we want to score on each side. So because it's 5.5, then we need to score at 2 3/4 in from each edge. So then that makes 5.5 total this way, and we have 5.5 on the inside. So if you want to go ahead and score at 2 3/4, I'm going to score on this end. And so whether you're using your scoreboard or your paper trimmer, do it from each end. So I just turned my card over or around, and now I have 2 score lines, 2 3/4 from each end. Now I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to burnish my fold. And then I have my it meeting in the center. All right. So again, 2 3/4 inches from each end, score, fold towards the center, and then you've got a gatefold card. So this is easy. So if you wanted to, you didn't have the Hunkydory package that we're going to use today, you could do anything on these, on this card, and then you could put a belly band on it or whatever. So you've got, it's pretty simple to make this gatefold. All right, so in this particular design, I chose the patterned paper that has the birdhouse. So it has sort of wood in here, then it has a nice gold center, a birdhouse on the left-hand side, and then the lovely daisies. So what we want to do, now the thing is, I had actually folded this to make a sort of a Zed fold like this, but then I realized I only had 2 pages. So, and I had it as a slim line because there's a piece above here. So I'm going to have to use this piece that I already have folded to make the card with you today, but I used a nice piece, a fresh piece when I made the example. So what you need to do is grab this piece of paper with the birdhouse in one side and then the lovely pattern, and you're going to cut. What we need is a piece that's 5.5 by 5.5. So I would just cut the big piece at 5.5. So then you have this whole piece left over for another design, right? So you can use that for another design, and you're going to use the 5 by 5 square, and you want the base to be, so you want to measure 5.5 inches up from the bottom, because this is really the feature of the card, this panel, well, this whole 5.5 inch panel. So cut it at 5.5 this way, and then you want to make a 5.5 square. So I'm going to cut this at 5.5 with my guillotine here. And then you're going to cut that piece in half because we want, I'm going to do it upside down. I'm going to change mine a little bit, but I want everybody to have theirs. I'm going to do, just because I have a fold here, I want that to be my center because I made an error. All right. Okay, so you're gonna make it 5.5, 5.5. I think I might have made an error here too. No, I did okay. No. I think I did. I cut it too short. No, I'm okay. All right, so I just have to turn this one. All right. So you cut 5.5, the 5.5 square from the pattern paper, and then you're going to cut that in half, which is 2 3/4 for each side. Okay, and then we're going to use some double-sided tape to adhere these 2 panels to the front flaps of the card so that they meet in the center. So add one side first, and then you can line the second side up so that it meets nicely in the center. So when the card is closed, it looks like a continuous design. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape for this. All right. So it doesn't matter which side you add first. I put double-sided tape, but you just want to make sure that you've got the right half on each side so that the design is continuous in the center. So in this one, I can see that the daisy was sort of split in 2, so I can just make I know that I have the correct side for each panel, because otherwise the panels are the same size with the same design, so it's easy to mix them up. All right, I'm going to do my little trick here so that I don't adhere it down, because I kind of want all right. So I have the one panel down, and then this one I'm going to add from the center out so that I know I've got it lined up. So it's easiest to do if you actually close the card. And I'm going to line it up in the right where the flowers meet. Okay, so I have that. And I'm just going to pull it. Okay. So hopefully everybody's managing to get their, at least the front panels of the gatefold decorated. And then what we need to do next.
Mary Lynn,
Yes.
we have a question. What are the correct measurements for the white cardstock?
5.5 by 11.
Thank you very kindly.
And then we're going to take our paper pad that we haven't used yet, but it has this same paper as a background paper, and it's, where is it? So you get, oh, there we go. It has these sort of bottle designs with the keys. That's the one, oh no, is that this one? Nope, it's not that one. It's the one with the birdhouses. It's the pink with more pink designs. And you can see on the back of that paper is the same paper or the same pattern that's on the cardstock. So you could absolutely choose a different pattern if you wanted. You could choose green if you wanted to put green. You could choose the pink. You could choose the yellow daisies if you wanted. I just chose this paper. So whatever you wish, you can choose. It's up to you. I just thought that this lent itself nicely, and then you could add a sentiment or whatever, and it wouldn't be too busy to add something else onto it. So now when you're using, so you see you've got these beautiful designs on the front as well. And so you need a square that's 5.5 by 5.5. So it's hard to choose, but I think at least I could have a couple of these designs left over if I use this upper part as my square. I might even have these left over. So that's the only thing you need to think about when you're using patterned paper or double-sided paper, that you have the, because you know, well, and the other thing you need to think about too for this particular pattern is that you want it up and down, right? Because I want this up and down. So let me see. I'm gonna try and think. Okay, so I need it up and down. So I need it kind of like this. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to do it from the top. So we need 5.5 by 5.5. And then I need 5.5 this way. So I can see, yeah, so I'm going to have some designs here that I can still use. And I have some designs at the bottom here that I can use as well. And then I have my paper to put in my card, in the inside of my card. Which I lost. Oh, here it is, my computer. All right. So now I've got my 5.5 inch square piece that's going to fit. Now it looks like I need to trim it a shade more. I find that my guillotines are a little different. All right. So when I cut my large one, it's a little different compared to the smaller one. All right, so this fits perfect. So you might want to just trim it a slight little bit on the inside edge because it might buckle a little bit when you fold the gatefold. So I'm just going to trim a little bit more off, although the measurements you would think would be the same. If you just slightly trim a little bit off, you're going to get an easier time when you fold the gatefold on the inside, because it just doesn't have that extra piece of paper to fold against. So if you want to go ahead and add this to the inside of the card. Now, unfortunately, because we chose this pattern, the leftover pieces of the cardstock I mean, we have a little bit left over that would fill in one of the sides of the gatefold, like one of these patterns, just because it's striped. So otherwise you probably would have had enough to fill in both sides. Because I did make another design like this, and I used just a plain pattern and it filled it all in. So. All right. But we can just leave those, or you can decorate it with other something else if you wanted, or use 2 pieces of your paper. Okay, so all right. Oops. I'm a little crooked. If you get it crooked, like I just did, then you can just trim off the excess with your scissors. And now after I all right, so everyone has their design. Now for the interlocking gatefold, this design lends itself well because it's circular. I mean, I guess the oval design would work well as also, but this one you'll see it has the 2 frames. So the one gold frame, and then it has the blue with the daisy frame on the outside, and then you have the inner design. So we're going to find that in our topper stash, and we're going to press it out. So let me. I think it was on the same piece that we used for the oval. I used obviously that one for my sample here. I have to find that one. Here we go. And you can see, so these were the 2 ovals, or the oval frames that we used. And so you're just going to press this one out. Now, if you wanted, you could use the other circular design that's here, or you can save that and make another one of these gatefold cards. Later on, either later today or next week or whenever. All right, so we've got our design, and what you need to do is separate all of the frames. So on the Zed Fold card, we kept the gold frame with the outer frame, but this one we're going to separate them all. All right, okay. So you're gonna have three frame pieces. Now again, what we're going to do is we're going to add half at a time. So this we want to span halfway, right? So we're going to add the outer frame first, and then we're going to add the gold frame. So if you want to look at the bottom, I think at the bottom it's easiest to sort of figure out what's halfway. And I think I have a little daisy, which everyone should have, because you can see this is all sort of even. So if you have this daisy here where I'm tapping my finger, if you make sure that that's in the center when we add, because you're going to add some glue to this side, then that should be centered, okay? Because that is the center of the design. So if we make sure that it's sort of even in each side when we attach it, it should be perfect. And what we're going to do is we're only going to apply some glue to this right-hand side, right? So however you want to do it, if you want to flip it over towards you and then just put glue on this half, then that's probably going to work best. Now, if you wanted to use double-sided tape, you could too as well. I just find the glue works for circles better, and my glue tip is popped right now. Oh, let's see what I have there. Well, I might have to use double-sided tape. All right. Okay, now I have to reorient myself. Okay, so I'm going to just put glue on the right-hand side here. So I'm going to just and you can just close your whole card because you should just have glue on the right-hand side. And maybe you want to mark it or something, right? That it's so you know exactly where to put your glue. I eyeballed it, but anyway, it's pretty good. All right, so we have that frame on that side. Now this is a trickier piece because this gold frame, we want to cut in half because we want to glue it on the inside on this side and we want to glue it on the inside on this side. So I think what we need to do is just probably mark it. I'm just gonna mark it a little bit on the inside with my pencil. Pencil doesn't really mark the gold cardstock. It just creates a little bit of a line that allows you to cut it. So you know where you're gonna cut. So just do that so that we can cut our circle in half. And then what we're going to do is you're gonna put glue on, do one side at a time. So do the one side that we're going to put on the inside of the frame we already have attached. Just put a little bit of glue. So I put a little bit of glue on that. I'm gonna use my tweezers. And I'm just gonna close my card and I'm going to just slide it up because you have got glue, forgetting, and just make sure it's tucked up on the inside of that frame. Okay. Now what we're going to do is you're going to do exactly the same and you're going to keep your card closed like this and we're going to put the other side up against the other half of the frame and hope and have it meet in the middle. Okay. And it's easiest to do this if you, when you attach it, your card is closed, because then the glue will keep it on this side of the card, but it will be exactly matching. All right, so here we go. We're going to try that. And so again, you're going to close your design. I'm going to just add it, I think, to the one edge down here, and then just keep it all along. Press it into the card, to the frame, I mean. And then just lift up the other frame, and then you can continue to just press it down. Oh, but I might need a little bit more at this edge. You can always add a little bit more glue just to keep that edge tucked down, because that's not the edge. All right. So we have our continuous frame when it's closed. The gold is continuous, although it's one half on one side and one half on the other. And now this makes it very simple to add our embellishment, because it's going to fit just inside that frame. We're going to use foam tabs because it's kind of nice if it's raised a little bit. But again, you've already got your guide there, and I'm just going to do I'm just going to put my foam tabs here, and then I can just lay my topper on top of it. Now I seem to have lost my larger foam tabs. Okay, there we go. I wanted this sort of the larger squares, because I'm just going to put a few here. Okay. All right. So now just think about how you want your bird situated, but I mean, it's a bird in a nest, so it needs to kind of go straight. So you straight, and then I'm just going to push it on the inside. And then I'm going to check it out, and oh, there, well, could have been a little bit over. All right. So maybe, oh yeah, then that works good, works well. So maybe what you want to do, sorry, just hit the camera, is close your card, and then you can put it on the foam tabs on the one side, and you can get it spaced exactly evenly. So hopefully everybody has that or are working on it. But that's a way to use these designs to make that interlocking gatefold, which is a sort of a nice little stepping it up, I guess, stepping up the gatefold. So in the sample I made, what I did was I added a couple embellishments. So there was a little tag here just for you, so you can press that out. Or you can just choose whatever. There's birthday wishes, there's all the best. There's, so it was on the same page that we pressed our other designs out. You can see some, so I just used the well wishes. And then I used just for you here. So I just used these two, but there's also all the best here at the bottom, which would also sort of match this design. So you can just flip through the topper pack and decide what you want, or you could leave it. And then again, once you decide who you're going to give this card to, you could add the design, because this is quite nice. And maybe you want to take one of the sentiments from your paper pad and add that. So remember at the back you have, because maybe look at this here, if you wanted to make some Easter cards, here's an Easter blessing, and maybe you want to just put that on the inside of the card design. So again, whatever you prefer, I just kind of decorated it so you got an idea of how you might choose to decorate it. And again, I added a few of the stick-on gems here just to add a little bling to the card. But otherwise, that's the interlocking gatefold. So hopefully you found that kind of fun and different. And then of course you can decorate the inside of your design as well. So even if you wanted, because this is one of our leftover pieces, you could always put a little bird in the corner here, little bird in the corner there, in the center, whatever you chose. You could decorate the side panels with a couple birds if you wanted. I think we have some left over. Oh, that's this, yes. So you would have at least one panel if you wanted for that, or you could use a design. It's up to you, whatever. But the whole, what I wanted to everyone to try was this interlocking gatefold for this card for the class. So that's today's project completed. So hopefully everybody has fun doing that. And you already have 3 cards ready for whatever events you have coming up, or Easter, if you're going to choose to make them for Easter. And then I thought what I would do as people are finishing up is just show you the samples that we're going to make in 2 weeks. So we're going to use the same kit. And I've just come up with a few other designs. So this is a card where we have part of it hanging over, so a little different, using the design or the kit. This is a pretty simple card, but you know, we need simple cards. It's very cute. You're so sweet. Yes. And I just used the pattern paper and just made it. This is an A2 size card. So we're making all sorts of different sizes so that you get used to that. And we're going to make a little gift card, and we're going to make sort of this gift card holder, which is always fun. And then this is how you might use some of the paper, because it has some diagonal designs on it. So those two. And then we're going to step it up again, and we're going to do an easel card. So this is the easel card closed. And then we're going to open the easel card, and then we're going to make the little stopper here. And again, we've decorated the inside. So we're going to use our all of our kit. So those are the 3 cards coming up in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to give you a little teaser of what I think we're planning. We're going to plan something similar to what I'm going to show you for the following card class, which is April 14th. So our next one is March 31st, and then we're going to be into April. So it's not going to be this exact card, but this is going to be the base of the design. We're going to change the embossing folder, and I think that's about it that we're going to change. This is a dogwood panel. We're going to make it 3-dimensional. You can see here it's a die cut. You can emboss it. And then we're going to create the background too. So I use pixie powders here. So we're going to explore pixie powders and how to use them and the different formulations that they come in. So I don't know, we're deciding if it might be a 2-class thing as well, so that we can just explore pixie powders and then make the backgrounds into cards. So we'll finalize that hopefully in the next few days, and then we'll get the advertisement out for that next card class on April 14th, which is just before Easter, which is hard to believe. But anyway, so I hope on this, I can show you this anyway. It's another one with a pixie powder background, but I use the same panel die, and I just use it in a little bit different way to create this little circular, like a thank you card. I put some thank you on the inside. So those are just some examples to tease you about an upcoming class in April. So thank you everybody for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed the class. And I'm just going to switch to my, okay. And I hope you enjoyed the class, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks, and we'll make 3 more cards. And then you'll have several designs in your stash that you can just create with whatever other products you have in your stash, including, so we've done a Zed Fold, Gatefold, and an easel card. So stay well, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye, everybody.